Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paranormal Perspective. I'm John Lorden, and joining me as always...
It's Christy Arnhart.
All right, Christy. Looking forward to another paranormal topic. Is it paranormal? Is it not? I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to ask you live viewers to also tell us about it. Let's get started, Christy. Do you have the question off the top, or do you want to wait to pop the question? How do you want to handle that?
No, I have the question.
Okay, what is the question?
Do you believe it's possible to imprint your thoughts on film?
Ooh. Well, I do that every week.
Well, but with your psychic powers.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little
Yes.
differentiator. Okay.
Yeah,
To imprint thoughts.
because I mean, it is paranormal perspective. It can't be mundane.
Okay. I can't spell psychically at the moment for some reason, so it came out looking like physically. Go ahead and get started. And,
We'll let you catch up. Okay.
Yeah, we'll pop the question in a few minutes.
The process of psychically imprinting your thoughts on film is called thoughtography. Now, the most famous case of this that I found or that I can think of is the case of Ted Sirios. That's how you pronounce it. Now, Sirios started out as an unemployed bellhop in Chicago in the 1960s, but he claimed that he could psychically, imprint images onto blank Polaroid film using his powers, along with a small cylinder that he would fit into the palm of his hand. He said the cylinder helped him focus his power onto the film.
Okay. Suspicious. It's suspicious to me that there's like an object.
Well,
but okay.
And it also took tremendous amounts of alcohol.
Unemployed bellhop needs tremendous amounts of alcohol to make magical pictures. This guy
Yes.
is a genius. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm loving him already.
Go ahead. If you would,
Sure.
let's show everyone pictures of Ted Sirios. This is Ted.
Christy, that's
Yeah.
Indiana Jones's boss, isn't it? Marcus?
He does look like it, doesn't he?
Look at this guy. Denholm Elliott, right? Indiana Jones's boss, best actor.
Yeah.
Look at this dude.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a resemblance. His face isn't going to melt off or anything, though.
Yeah,
so
I
we're
couldn't
good.
prove they were the same person, so it's yeah. I tried.
But this is actually Ted imprinting his thoughts onto film. And as you can see, his hand is cupped, holding his cylinder against it.
This picture is already cool. Just in itself. Like, this is a very dynamic picture. There's a lot going on. We got a little smoke that's kind of going on. Like, someone's cigarette is over on the table here.
Oh, you know it. Everyone was smoking. He smoked. I know that.
Yeah, you can see there's like a haze in the room.
That wonderful nicotine haze.
Yeah, I'm interested in this. Is this thing actually in the room, or is that like a sticker that was on the photo? You see this big square?
It's probably a sticker that was on the film.
Yeah,
they have all. I mean, you can look at all of his catalog of photos.
Okay. Yeah,
Online,
it doesn't really look like it's in the room. Like, it really doesn't have, shading or dimensions that makes me think it's in the room. I'm just trying to look for anything that would be suspicious in terms of him making this type of image. Outside
I
of,
understand.
Is he having a heart attack in the middle of taking this picture?
I will get to that.
Okay.
Now, that was his technique. Okay.
Okay.
There was a doctor that actually championed this cause. His name was Jewel Eisenbud. And Dr. Eisenbud.
Okay.
Now, he described it like this. He said, when about to shoot, he seems rapidly to go into a state of intense concentration, with eyes open, lips compressed, and a quite noticeable tension of his muscular system. His limbs would tend to shake somewhat, as if with a slight palsy, and the foot on his crossed leg would sometimes start to jerk up and down a bit convulsively. His face would become suffused and blotchy, the veins standing out on his forehead as his eyes became visibly bloodshot. I have seen others describe it as it looked as though he were about to have a bowel movement.
That's a good description. Yeah.
We have some
Bloodshot
other
eyes,
pictures
though.
of Ted.
He's got a bunch of alcohol in him, like, over the course of doing this, especially if this is something that's like going on for hours or something. I guess it'd be different and that's what it is, right? Like, these are instances of like they're trying to get these pictures and it's going on for prolonged periods of time.
Oh yes, and the more alcohol he requested, the more he was given.
Okay.
I guess, everybody's got their thing.
Yeah.
Do we have more pictures of Ted?
We do. Let's see here. For some reason, there we go. Wake it back up. There we go. Okay.
There's another one. He's getting ready to bam.
It does look like he's holding something in his hand here.
It is. It's the cylinder.
Is there any explanation of what that cylinder is?
It's said to just be a rolled up piece of paper that helps him focus.
He says it's a rolled up piece of paper. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I do know that they set up a lot of protocols here. See, there's another one of him violently shoving his thoughts into the camera.
It is so interesting to me because these pictures are crazy dynamic. Like, there must be some bizarre stuff that's happening. I mean, look at this photo. This looks like
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh.
It looks like he's in the middle of a boxing match or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is crazy looking.
Yeah, he got very into this. Very into this. Now, they put all kinds of protocols.
How did he convince people to do this? Like, he was first of all, he was in Chicago, is that right?
Yes.
Can't you get a job as a bellhop in Chicago?
Well, you would think so, but maybe the alcohol prevented that.
Okay.
But he did. He convinced these people. And they would, of course, they would invite people to these sessions, and they would ask each of them to bring, unopened Polaroid film that they could load in. They would actually bring him, even his clothes would be provided from people from the outside because they didn't want him to have any way that he could possibly be faking these.
So
and yet they let him have his cylinder.
These sessions, like, would people buy tickets to them?
I don't know if they bought tickets or not.
But he was just able to at least convince some people about this interesting thing that was happening, and they would show up and be part of it.
And he had this prestigious doctor behind him too that was pushing all of this for everybody. Okay. So, but yeah, he would look at pictures. Sometimes he would, put pictures of buildings that were in the area, things like that.
Okay.
But it was always more or less specific.
So
there would be times he would put his own thoughts on there, but usually it was, he was looking at a picture and trying to put that picture on there. And
so here we have, this is an example of a successful picture of his.
Yes.
Okay. And it looks kind of like a building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
It's unfortunate that we have this picture without the context of it being taken. I can now understand why in a lot of those previous photos, there's people taking pictures of the picture being taken, because that would be the next thing I'd want to see. And if we were talking about modern times, I would even want it like time coded so that I can see, oh, it's this particular snap. Like, if I could have video of the picture being taken and then have the time code match up with the camera in some way so that I could say, on this exact second, this is when this picture was taken. I would love to see the motion or whatever he's doing, the expression, how his hand is waving around the lens. Because it unfortunately, like, it is an interesting photo, but this is something that any photographer can go outside, find a building that's interesting, tilt the camera sideways. Maybe it looks like the sun might be in the background, or there's some heavy light source that's kind of blowing it out. Like, you could recreate this thing fairly easily. It's really the story about that this image came from. Was he in a hotel room or like?
I think this is supposed to be the Chicago Water Tower.
Okay.
because there's another one that he did. There's Big Ben. He did Big Ben.
Yeah, I mean,
Does kind of look like Big Ben.
It's pretty convincing. Okay. What's this? A bell?
You know, I don't know if it's the Parthenon or if it's
yes.
one of the. Well, see, one of the people who was at one of these sessions was going to study abroad in Rome, and they had pictures from where they were going to go to school, and he had looked at those. This may be one of those pictures, but it just looks like the Parthenon to me.
It does. Yeah, it does, now that you say that. Interesting. But it's weird because it's such an incomplete... I mean, if this guy was somehow making these photos... removing the whole paranormal aspect, like it's already interesting. Like you could put this up in an art museum somewhere and say, like, you know, check this out, and then the accompanying photo would be even cooler, of like, oh, by the way, they were just sitting in a hotel room when this picture was taken. Here's a picture of the picture actually being generated. Because there's, you know, yeah, I can see it looks like there's a building that's in this photo, but everything else is just kind of garbage. Yeah, and there's movement. There's clearly movement. Like, even if he was holding up like a picture to the camera, it's like he's pulling it away when the actual snap is happening. And older cameras, like in the 1960s, you know, when you snap a photo, it's not like instantaneous. Like there is a little bit of time where the lens opens, it lets in light, and if something moves, like, you're going to get blur and things. So some of the blur is making me wonder, like, what the motion was like when these are being made. But I think you sent something to give us an example of that, right?
Yes, this is him actually doing his work, right?
All right, let's watch a little clip of it just to see what it's
Don't
like.
even trigger it. When I say now, something bang like that. I got a good idea.
Could Ted have been cheating? Impossible, says Eisenbud.
Ted was continually observed by dozens of people, sometimes 6, 8 in a session.
Ted usually held a tube of paper in front of the lens. He called it his gizmo and said it helped concentrate his thoughts. Ted's last photograph was of curtains, but that was 10 years ago. Can he produce anything now?
I'm after one thing, and that's a person that's holding something. Okay.
But all he got was his face.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. But I'm telling you, like, I'm interested in this already as art. Like, I don't need the paranormal aspect. Like, this is, I don't know.
Seriously, look these pictures up. They have the whole catalog of pictures online, and they're very interesting. Now, the reason I thought this was so interesting was because it made me think of Stella Lansing, the woman who took pictures, you know, the Watchers and all of those others. It was theorized that she was putting things on film with the power of her mind as well. And I believe that she could do that. I really do. I do not believe Ted Sirius could. Yeah. What if he had a little mirror or something in that little folded up piece of paper?
You know,
he was reflecting something in the room.
That's interesting, especially talking about the mirrors that we talked about a couple of episodes ago, where when the light hit it, it would throw the big projection, and then you would see that there was an actual piece of art that was part of that you couldn't see when you were looking at the mirror. But you're raising an important point. There's some item that's in his hand. It's being described to people as being some piece of paper or something. Like, what if it was a picture? What if I had a little picture that was kind of rolled up, and I don't know, like I figured out a certain way. I mean, I have a lens right here. You know, if I get something that close to it, like, look, you're looking at the tip of my finger. I know it's out of focus because I have the focus locked on this, but like for that image that we saw of the building, Like you would only need to get a little photograph about here, and then with all kinds of movement around it and the slow shutter exposure, it would blur out the edges of the photograph, and you would get probably a decent sense of the middle of the photo. But if I was around when this was happening, I'd be super critical about, like, that tube needs to be documented before the photo is taken and after the photo is taken. What's interesting is in that clip that we just watched, though, it doesn't look like he had an object. Like, it looks like
you
it was
mean
just
the one
him and
when
the
he was
camera.
older?
Yeah.
No, he didn't, but he also didn't produce anything.
Right.
Now, they brought in James Randi and another magician to watch him and try to figure out how this was happening, if it was psychic or not. Randy says that at some point, because he would take his cylinder and show it to the audience, and Randy swears that at one point he saw something glint at him from the inside of it. That was why I wondered if maybe he was using a mirror.
Oh, you know what? It could be a magnifying glass. It could be that there's a tiny little photo and he's got a magnifying glass and is using that because, all the lenses that he'd be coming across would have some type of round aspect to them as well. If he got it close enough and closed the gap on the distance, that magnification might get picked up by that other lens, and that's really, really interesting. Yeah, I would think of it more like a magnifying glass, like a lens of some type that's in there.
Well, after years of refining his ability through practice and large amounts of alcohol, the ability just seemed to fade away.
Wait, I thought the alcohol helped make it happen initially. Then all of a sudden it takes his superpowers away.
Well, everybody believes that his large amounts of alcohol through all of the decades just caught up with him.
Yeah.
Because he ended up dying in 2006. He only did these exhibitions until 1967. So at the most, he did this for like 7 years.
Okay.
But
what he got into after that?
No, I don't. But
I'd just be curious
like
if it was paranormal or,
It looks like he kind of tried to ride this wave. Interviews, TV shows, things like that.
Yeah.
And alcohol.
Yeah. Triple S is saying, yes, Mr. John, that does sound like those microprints used in spy games back in the day. Yeah, like I can almost imagine certain toys that have that capability. All right, well, we put it to the audience, the live audience here watching. Do you believe it's possible to imprint thoughts on film psychically? 81, it just shifted. 78, did you vote, Christy, for yourself right now?
Yes, I did vote for myself.
And I caught you. 76% say no, 24% say yes. So in this instance, Christy, wow, that bed sheet ghost was pretty hokey looking.
Nice transition. Nice.
Well, I want to let you know that I created that video with my mind. So there's something to be said for that. Thank you.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
But yeah, and I agree. I do think Sirius is a fraud, but that doesn't mean I don't think others can do it, because I do think there's a possibility of that. But yeah.
All right. Well, if you find another one of those, let's bring it in and analyze it as well. I mean, if nothing else, it's fun to look at these instances and hear about the conditions around them. And it's really interesting to me that alcohol was a part of this in terms of like, we got to get him good and drunk.
Seriously, it wasn't like they just gave him beer. He'd like start out with beer and then start in on the hard liquor and stuff. And they would seriously, he'd demand more. Sometimes he'd get all belligerent.
No.
And the doctor would have to calm him down.
Yeah, well, I could tell from some of those photos. Yeah, he looked like he was pretty belligerent. I mean, like I said, that one looks like he's literally fighting the camera.
That's what it looked like to me, too. And that's kind of the impression I got. But,
Well, Well, Christy, thank you so much for all your hard work on today's episode. We always appreciate it. And please join us again soon as we look into another paranormal perspective. See you on the other side.